we've all seen it in years gone by. Fearsome characters on the side of a football pitch, the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson, Neil Warnock, Alan Pardew, shouting and screaming at their players, demanding what they do, which is fine in the Premier League. But where it doesn't sit right is at the side of a children's football pitch with managers shouting and bawling at their players. How do we make that better? What environment can we create to make it fun and enjoyable for the children? James, what are your thoughts?
Positive feedback from the sidelines only would be my approach, especially with the younger age groups, making sure that I'm not instructing the children, telling them what to do, moving them around like Subbuteo players. It's about positive feedback. If there's then more developmental feedback, that should happen in the intervals in the game or at the end.
Very good. Johnny?
I think coaches should stop shouting and telling the children exactly what to do and giving them all the answers, and instead ask more questions.
Oh, like that is very good.
Give him a point. Give him a point. Give him a point, Chad.
I am going to give that point to Jonny Martin for the first time, because it's not gone up yet.
Come on.
Watch it. Both of you watch.
I'm watching, yeah.
See if it works.
Watching the scoreboard. Oh, it's 2-1.
Very good.
2-1. Johnny, fantastic answer. Talk to me about it a little bit more.
I think you see at grassroots football, coaches on the sidelines shouting to the children where to go, what to do, when to pass, how to shoot, whatever it is. And parents as well. And I think that the way to immediately stop doing that is just to ask thought-provoking questions, because the children at those youngest age groups will need a bit of guidance and support. So a good way of doing that without giving them all the answers is through questioning.
So give me an example of that. So, striker's gone through, missed the target, looks a little bit disappointed. Like, what's your question?
For me, I actually think it's more so like a step before that. So I think when the children are dribbling, you often hear, get your eyes up or pass. And what I would rather do is ask them, who can you see or what can you see? Because what that encourages them to do is still then get their eyes up, which is ultimately what you want them to do. And then they're still in charge of the decision making. So whether it is to pass or to shoot. But that question is almost like a trigger to encourage the next bit, but then still enable them to make the decision themselves.
No, when's that question asked? So for example, the little boy or little girl's dribbling with the ball. Yep. Are you sort of shouting, have you got your eyes up then? Or is it more of a one-to, like what?
Yeah, good question. I think you can do it in both scenarios. I think you can do it in the moment, as long as it's not all the time in the moment, because ultimately the children are concentrating on what they're doing and they're trying to make their own decisions. But I think you can, in that moment, if you are to say something, it's asking those thought-provoking questions in the moment or those triggers to encourage them to get their eyes up. Equally, the best time to do it really is at half-time or pulling them over to one side and then asking that question sort of retrospectively to then understand their thought process in that moment of what they did. But I think you can vary it up. I don't think it needs to be all of one, all of the other.
I think with that, obviously, questioning, it's something that in youth football, it's something we're really encouraged to do because it's so important to get the children understanding. Where I see it done but not done particularly well is when a coach is asking a question just wanting a specific answer and will sort of lead. Have you got any tips on sort of...
It just all comes down to the questioning. So when you say, what do we need to find?
Oh, I hate that.
It's the worst.
My biggest bugbear in kids' football is like, what do we need to look for when we're on the pitch?
And the kids just become robots in space. And they go, yeah, well done. And it is ultimately just ego almost, like trying to make me look like I know what I'm talking about. So it's those questions that are open-ended, could have multiple answers. And I think that's the way to avoid it, is to just ensure that it's as open as possible and it gives them the creativity, the license, the decision making in part of that process.
I love that.
I think you need to make sure that the question isn't just an alternative for the direction though.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, if it's have you got your eyes up rather than get your eyes up, it's almost like the same in some ways.
It's what can you see? So therefore it's like ultimately that encourages the children to get their eyes up. So not like, have you got your eyes up? Because then it's like, yes or no. No, I haven't. I need to get them up. But I think it's more so like, who can you see? What can you see? Because then at the moment, what can you see? Well, they can only see the football. So that might be a trigger in their head to then get their eyes up to look round and find the pass. So you're right. I think it takes a bit of practice. And I think reflecting on the question you just asked is in the moment is quite important to do as a coach, because then you start to become more aware of what you're saying and what you're questioning. But it can be, if perfected, I think a really useful coaching tool.
No, definitely. James, positive, just only positive. It sounds a little bit fluffy.
Yeah, I think
Woke.
within the younger age groups, I think it is really important to be positive from the sidelines. I think the two things that I would look to try and avoid from the sidelines of a grassroots football match is shouting pass and shouting shoot. Because what you're doing is you're telling the child what to do. So if they run through, they're in a shooting position, and you shout shoot, it's up to the child to make that decision. So great shouting, great dribbling as they run past the player might give them the confidence they need to make the decision to shoot.
Yep.
Or to pass it to someone else who's in a better position. But ultimately, whether it's the right decision or wrong decision, then the child is learning, because if they pass when they should have shot or shoot when they should have passed, then they will learn from the outcome of that. Whereas telling them to shoot is the wrong thing to do, because then essentially you're making the decision for them and they don't learn from whether they've made the right decision or wrong. And sometimes it's even the wrong call, telling them to shoot when they should have passed.
There is only one thing that is worse in grassroots football than coaches shouting shoot or pass, and that is save it. Like, what do they think the goalie's going to do? Like, purposely not save the ball? Of course they're going to try and save it. It's just ridiculous.
With that, like, it's so automatic, isn't it? I don't know, is that something that you guys have had to work on? You know, as a just starting out coaching, it's sort of just what you do, isn't it? Like, you just shoot.
What you do as a fan, don't you? So have we all been at a game where you've been in a stadium and 40,000 people shout shoot as you get into a shooting position? We've all done it. And then when you become a coach, you then transfer being a fan into being a coach, because that's kind of almost like the closest thing, isn't it? You're the one on the sideline there.
Yeah.
But
it's those habits you've picked up ultimately as a fan that you need to try and stamp out if you're coaching, because it doesn't help in particular the youngest children and those age
what
groups.
would your advice be, like, in terms of that, for people looking to develop? They might be really new to coaching, took over because their little boy or little girl has started playing, and it's not natural to them, and they're just sort of a fan at the side. Like, how do you go from that fan to coach, and what tips, if any, you've got to support?
The biggest thing is self-awareness. So it's just trying to be aware of what you're doing and having thought behind everything that you do. So it can be achieved in sort of planning ahead of time. Sometimes it could be saying nothing, but it's being really thoughtful in what you're doing and thinking about that. Ultimately, it takes time, it takes practice, and it takes education from the courses that are out there. But I think coaches need to start off with, to make a change from being a fan into a coach, that ultimately what they need to do is have that self-awareness in the first place.
Fantastic. Well, that has set the cat amongst the pigeons. A massive point for you there, Jonny. Bring it back to 2-1. Going in to the final question. Are you guys ready?
ready for it.